Right now, without knowing it, almost every animal that has ever laid eyes on you ran the same calculation. How fast is it moving? Is it looking at me? How much distance is left? The math finishes before a thought can form, and the answer almost never changes. Get away from the human. This is not something they learned. Animals raised in total isolation that have never once seen a person run the calculation anyway. It has been tested in controlled conditions and confirmed across dozens of species. The verdict on you was written before you were born, and it comes back the same every time. You are a predator. That is what an animal thinks when it sees you, not a metaphor. The output of a threat system millions of years older than your species, but a small number of animals, in a few strange moments, look at a human and that ancient verdict comes back blank. And what fills the silence is something scientists have spent entire careers failing to name. Start with what fear actually does to a wild body. The moment an animal loses the ability to move, when the net closes or the rope wraps tight, its physiology enters a state with no real human equivalent. Cortisol floods the blood. Adrenaline climbs to levels that would kill it if they lasted more than minutes. The heart rate doubles, then doubles again. The muscles do not just tense, they lock. The way a body locks when it has committed everything to a single outcome. From the outside, the animal looks like it has gone somewhere else. Still in its body, but attending to nothing except the thing it is sure is about to end its life. So when a human walks toward a trapped animal, the animal does not read rescuer. It reads an apex predator arriving at the worst possible moment. That is why the thrashing gets worse the closer you come. To that system, proximity is the final phase of a hunt. And then, in rare encounters, something shifts. Not exhaustion, something more deliberate than that. In December of 2005, a crab fisherman found a female humpback whale tangled in lines near the Farallon Islands off San Francisco. Crab trap ropes were wound around her mouth, her fins, her tail. The traps hung off her body and dragged her down, and she was fighting just to keep her blowhole above the surface. A dive team reached her within hours. 4 divers slid into the water carrying curved knives, knowing that one reflexive flick of that tail could kill any of them instantly. She stopped moving the moment they entered the water. For over an hour, a 50-foot animal held still, while strangers sawed ropes off her body, and at several points she did something no survival instinct asks for. She rotated. She extended a fin. She adjusted her angle again and again in ways that gave the divers cleaner access to the lines they were cutting. She was not enduring the rescue. She appeared to be helping it. Why would a panicking animal do that? The explanation researchers lean toward is almost unbearably simple. A predator closing in moves fast, direct, aggressive, eating the distance in a straight line. That movement pattern is exactly what a trapped animal's alarm system was built across millions of years to detect. A human trying to help moves the opposite way. Slow, no sudden gestures, touching the trap instead of the animal, making no sound that matches anything in the threat catalog. So the brain searches its entire library of predators, looking for the pattern, and comes back empty. The alarm does not switch off. It simply loses the thing it was built to point at, and with nothing to lock onto, the crisis stalls, and the animal waits. You can watch this happen on land, too. In Yellowstone, a research team found a wolf clamped in a leg hold trap. It lunged and snapped at every approach, exactly what the biology predicts. Then, one researcher stopped moving and held the wolf's eyes without looking away. A predator about to kill does not hold steady eye contact. It tracks the prey, calculates, stays in motion. Calm, unbroken eye contact with no aggression behind it is a signal that sits completely outside the predator template. Some researchers think it may read less like a hunt and more like a conversation. After several minutes, the wolf stopped lunging. It sat down. It held the eye contact back. When the team began working the trap, it watched their hands. When the steel released, it stood, looked once at the researcher, and walked into the tree line. Now, maybe you are already thinking the obvious thing. The animal just gave up. It was exhausted. It surrendered. Researchers thought of that first, and it does not fit. A body that has surrendered goes limp and collapses inward. These animals do the opposite. They orient toward the human. They reposition to make the work easier. They track the rescuer's hands and then leave under their own power, alert, intact. Surrender does not turn its body to help you. This is something else. And the strangest part is not the rescue. It is what happens after the trap is open, when the threat is gone and there is no reason left to stay. When the last rope came off the humpback, she did not flee. She swam wide, slow circles around the divers, then came back and nudged each one individually with the tip of her jaw, one by one, before moving to the next. James Mosquito, one of the divers, told the San Francisco Chronicle it felt like being thanked. Scientists are careful with that word, and they should be, but humpback whales carry spindle neurons, the same specialized brain cells once believed to exist only in humans, great apes, and elephants, cells tied to empathy and split-second social judgment. Whatever she was doing in that cold water, she had the hardware for it. Juvenile elephants pulled from mud pits in Kenya have been filmed doing the same kind of thing. Before walking away, they reach back and touch the people who freed them. Trunk to hand. Trunk to arm. An elephant's trunk holds more than 40,000 muscles and a density of nerve endings that rivals your fingertips. When an elephant chooses to lay it against your skin and hold it there, that is not a reflex. That is an examination. And these are animals that mourn their dead, that return to the bones of companions years gone and touch them gently. The equipment to tell the difference between a human who caused the pain and a human who ended it is not something an elephant is missing. The threat is gone. The animal is free. There is no survival reason to remain. And still, in case after case, they remain. For minutes. Standing near the people who freed them, not fleeing, not grazing. Just there, before finally turning and going. But suspending the verdict is not the most extraordinary thing an animal ever did with it, because a few animals did not pause the verdict at all. They deleted it. In 1959, in Novosibirsk, a geneticist named Dmitry Belyaev began breeding silver foxes, selecting for one single trait: calmness toward humans, nothing else. Within a handful of generations, the foxes changed. Their ears went soft, their tails wagged, and they began crawling toward people, whimpering for contact, reaching for the very hands their ancestors were built to flee. Belyaev had taken that ancient predator verdict and bred it out of a living animal in a few short decades. That is the secret history of the creature sleeping at your feet. Look at a dog when it wants something from you, the way the inner eyebrows lift and the eyes go soft. In 2019, a researcher named Julian Kaminsky at the University of Portsmouth dissected that expression and found a muscle behind it that wolves simply do not have. Over 40,000 years beside us, dogs grew a new muscle in their faces, for one purpose: to reach into the part of the human brain that responds to a crying child. And at Azabu University in Japan, Takafumi Kikusui found that when a dog and its owner just look at each other, oxytocin rises in both of them, the same chemical loop that binds a mother to her newborn. They did not learn to tolerate us. They climbed into the chemistry meant for our own children and stayed. If you have ever been certain, against all reason, that your dog understood you, you were not imagining it. You were standing inside a 40,000-year-old answer to this exact question. So go back to that calculation. The one every wild thing runs the instant it sees you. Speed, direction, eyes, distance, predator, get away. That is the default verdict on you, and almost nothing in nature disputes it. But a whale held still under 4 knives. A wolf gave its eyes back. An elephant chose to touch the hand that freed it and then could not seem to leave. And a wolf's descendant grew a brand new face just to talk to yours. What the data cannot reach is the inside of any of those moments. What it was to be the whale, moving from diver to diver in the dark water. Whether it meant anything to her, or whether we only find meaning there because we are also animals running pattern recognition, and the pattern we keep landing on is ourselves. The verdict on you was written before you were born. A handful of animals spent their lives quietly proving it wrong, and not one of them will ever tell you why.